Nike and H&M are among major clothing retailers facing a backlash in China. Some signs of progress under brand new CEO Elliot Hill's so-called Win Now strategy, the strategic priority, which he says is proof that what they're doing is working. It's just going to take time, and the question is time. Nike, the iconic global leader in sportswear and athletic innovation, has long been emblematic of American enterprise and ingenuity. Its legendary swoosh logo is recognized across continents, representing a blend of high-performance gear and aspirational culture. For decades, Nike's manufacturing decisions have captured the attention of economists, politicians, and consumers alike, reflecting broader themes in the shifting global economy. When Nike CEO Elliot Hill announced the company's decision to shut down US-based production and move operations abroad, it was more than a routine corporate maneuver. It was a vivid reflection of seismic changes rippling through the American and international business landscape. This move was a direct response to a cascade of tariffs instituted by newly elected President Donald Trump, whose trade policies upended established supply chains and dramatically altered the calculus for companies reliant on global commerce. Before we start, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more updates. The sequence of events leading to Nike's decision unfolded rapidly, but not unpredictably. The Trump administration's approach to international trade diverged sharply from its predecessors, prioritizing American manufacturing and attempting to revive domestic industries through protectionist policies. Before we start, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more updates. The sequence of events leading to Nike's decision unfolded rapidly, but not unpredictably. The Trump administration's approach to international trade diverged sharply from its predecessors, prioritizing American manufacturing and attempting to revive domestic industries through protectionist policies. For multinational giants like Nike, whose operations are woven deeply into the fabric of international supply and demand, the consequences were immediate and unavoidable. The imposition of tariffs made it exceedingly expensive for foreign companies and consumers to buy American-made products. Equally, American businesses suddenly face steep costs when importing materials, components, and finished goods from abroad. The resulting environment was marked by uncertainty, rising expenses, and the rapid erosion of profit margins. Nike, with its massive global footprint and intricate supply chain, found itself at the epicenter of these disruptive forces. The company had previously invested in US-based manufacturing facilities as part of a broader commitment to technological innovation and domestic job creation. The resulting environment was marked by uncertainty, rising expenses, and the rapid erosion of profit margins. Nike, with its massive global footprint and intricate supply chain, found itself at the epicenter of these disruptive forces. The company had previously invested in US-based manufacturing facilities as part of a broader commitment to technological innovation and domestic job creation. However, the calculus changed dramatically with the advent of the tariffs. Inputs sourced from international suppliers became significantly more expensive, and the finished goods produced in the United States lost price competitiveness in overseas markets due to retaliatory measures. Meanwhile, rival brands based outside the US faced fewer barriers and could offer similar products at lower prices. Nike's leadership faced a stark choice: absorb the added costs, pass them on to consumers, or fundamentally restructure their operations. Elliot Hill, as CEO, weighed the options with the company's board and executive team. Absorbing the cost would likely erode Nike's margins to unsustainable levels, particularly given the razor-thin profitability typical of the apparel industry. Passing the increases onto consumers posed the risk of damaging the brand's reputation and losing market share to more affordable competitors. Ultimately, the company opted for the third path. shutting down its remaining US production and shifting those operations abroad to maintain competitive pricing and secure access to vital international markets. This decision reverberated far beyond Nike's internal operations. Factories that had become models for advanced American manufacturing faced closure, resulting in layoffs for skilled workers and managerial staff. Local economies in the affected regions experienced an immediate blow with ripple effects felt by suppliers, contractors, and ancillary businesses. The vision of a rejuvenated American industrial base, long touted as central to the new administration's economic policy, suddenly appeared out of reach. For the broader US economy, Nike's exit from domestic production underscored the challenges inherent in navigating an interconnected world through the lens of economic nationalism. While the administration's tariffs were intended to protect and nurture American industries, their implementation in practice often had the opposite effect for companies inshed in complex global supply chains. The cost of inputs soared, profits shrank, and competitive disadvantages mounted, particularly in sectors reliant on global sourcing and international sales. Nike's strategic realignment, while perhaps inevitable under the new economic paradigm, had significant implications for the company's internal culture and long-term identity. For years, Nike had balanced its global ambitions with nods to its Oregon roots and a public commitment to American innovation. The withdrawal from domestic production forced a reckoning, prompting questions about the very nature of global business in an era marked by rising protectionism and economic volatility. Would other companies follow suit? Would the retreat from US manufacturing become the norm rather than the exception for employees, partners, and consumers? These questions loomed large, coloring perceptions of the brand in the future of American industry. As Nike prepared to move its production overseas, the company had to navigate a labyrinth of logistical, regulatory, and strategic challenges. New manufacturing partners had to be sourced and vetted, production lines retooled, and supply chains reconfigured to ensure the seamless flow of goods from factories to markets. Nike's existing relationships with Asian manufacturers, many of whom had decades of experience producing the company's signature footwear and apparel, proved invaluable in smoothing the transition. Yet, even so, the upheaval was immense, requiring careful planning and substantial investment to avoid disruption. The company's decision also ignited a firestorm of public debate. Critics of the administration's policies seized upon Nike's move as evidence of the perils of trade wars and the unintended consequences of tariffs. Supporters, meanwhile, argued that the temporary pain was a necessary step toward a more robust and self-sufficient American economy, insisting that the long-term benefits would outweigh the short-term disruptions. Nike found itself caught in the crossfire, its every action scrutinized by politicians, pundits, and the public. Within the industry, Nike's shift was closely watched by peers and competitors alike. The apparel and footwear sectors are intensely competitive, with brands constantly seeking to balance cost, quality, and innovation while responding to rapidly changing consumer preferences. Nike's decision to move production abroad was not taken lightly, and other companies soon found themselves facing similar dilemmas. Some doubled down on automation and process improvement in an attempt to keep US operations viable, while others quietly began their own exit strategies, seeking to shield themselves from the escalating costs and market volatility brought on by the tariff wars. Beyond the immediate financial and operational impacts, Nike's exit from US manufacturing raised broader questions about the future of globalization itself. For decades, the prevailing orthodoxy among policymakers and business leaders had held that open markets and free trade would yield mutual prosperity. The events that led to Nike's move cast doubt on this assumption, exposing the fragility of a system predicated on stable, predictable relations between nations. As barriers went up and retaliation became the norm, the era of frictionless global commerce seemed to be drawing to a close. For Nike, the challenge was not merely logistical, but philosophical. The company had long positioned itself as a force for positive change, leveraging its influence to champion causes ranging from racial equality to environmental sustainability. The retreat from US manufacturing risked undermining this narrative, exposing the tension between global ambitions and local commitments. Nike's leaders were acutely aware of this dynamic and sought to frame the move not as an abandonment of American workers, but as an unavoidable response to external circumstances beyond their control. Nevertheless, the sense of loss was palpable. Workers who had invested years, sometimes decades, in Nike's US factories faced uncertain futures. Their skills and experience suddenly devalued by a shifting global order. Communities that had counted on Nike for jobs, tax revenue, and civic engagement braced for the economic and social fallout. For consumers, the news prompted reflection on the true cost of the products they loved and the broader forces shaping the world in which they lived. In the international arena, Nike's move was closely analysed by governments and trade organisations. The shifting of production facilities from the US to overseas locations had ripple effects on labour markets, regulatory environments, and bilateral relations. Countries that managed to attract Nike's manufacturing investments welcomed the infusion of jobs and capital, but also recognized the volatility inherent in such arrangements. What could be gained quickly could just as easily be lost if geopolitical winds shifted yet again. The global marketplace, always dynamic, became even more unpredictable in the wake of the tariffs and retaliatory measures. Nike's experience became a case study in business schools and boardrooms worldwide. The company's response to the changing trade environment illuminated the strategic dilemmas facing multinational corporations. In an age of rising protectionism, executives were forced to grapple with uncomfortable truths. Global supply chains, while efficient, were also fragile. Regulatory environments could shift overnight, and public sentiment, once reliably aligned with the virtues of free trade, was becoming more skeptical and fractious. For the Trump administration, Nike's decision was both a challenge and a vindication. On one hand, it underscored the difficulty of disentangling American companies from global supply chains and the pain such efforts could inflict on domestic industries. On the other, it provided ammunition for calls to double down on protectionism, arguing that the only way to rebuild American manufacturing was through even stronger action to limit imports and incentivize domestic production. The debate played out in the media, in Congress, and on the campaign trail, shaping the contours of economic policy for years to come. As the dust settled, the lessons of Nike's exit became increasingly clear. Tariffs, once seen as tools for protecting domestic jobs, often had the paradoxical effect of driving companies to seek lower-cost production overseas. Also, leave your comments below and tell us what are your thoughts on Nike moving production abroad after Trump's tariffs. What's next? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching and see you next time. It had weathered a period of profound change, learning valuable lessons about the interplay of politics, economics, and culture. Nike's journey became a symbol of the challenges and opportunities facing all global businesses in an age of uncertainty. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel.